right, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, because if there's one thing that never changes in the NBA, it's how unpredictable this franchise can be. Right now, we're all sitting back refreshing our feeds, just waiting to see what Rob, Pelinka, and the front office are cooking up behind the scenes. It's been a bit too quiet lately, hasn't it? And if history has taught us anything, that silence from the Lakers usually isn't just silence. It's that eerie calm before the front office drops something big out of nowhere. I mean, how many times have we seen reports come out saying the Lakers are staying put? No trades coming, no changes happening, only for them to suddenly land a key piece just hours later. Remember the Dorian Finney-Smith deal. One day the narrative was that the Lakers were happy with the roster and not pursuing anything major. Then boom, they pick up Finney-Smith like it was nothing. And just when everyone thought that was the final move, they turn around and pull off something even bigger, like bringing in Luka Doncic. That's how fast things can change with this franchise. And that's why this current stretch of radio silence has fans on edge. It's like everyone's walking on eggshells waiting for that tweet or that watch bomb to drop. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Las Vegas Summer League isn't just about watching rookies and fringe players fight for roster spots. It's also the ultimate networking event for the league's decision makers. GM, scouts, agents, even owners. They're all there. Everyone's watching games, evaluating talent, but most importantly, they're mingling, and that's where real deals start to form. Not necessarily finalized on the spot, but those critical first conversations, that groundwork that makes deals possible later. On that starts over dinners, casual chats in the arena, or even over drinks at some bar off the strip. The Lakers know this. Rob Pelinka especially knows this. He's not just there to watch how the young guys are doing, he's there to build connections, reignite discussions, feel out other GMs, engage where teams are at mentally with their rosters. It's way easier to feel someone out when you're sitting across from them, not over a tense phone call trying to convince someone to part with a key player. It becomes more of a conversation and less of a sales pitch. You can see body language, tone, hesitation, enthusiasm. That stuff matters when you're trying to make a deal. This kind of environment has already produced results in the past. Think back to the Kyrie Irving saga. That all started with casual meetings and talks during Summer League, and it escalated from there. Even the whole Russell Westbrook situation was sparked in Vegas. People forget that some of the NBA's biggest trades didn't just happen out of nowhere. They began with a simple chat over dinner during Summer League. That's what makes this period so intriguing. Because while nothing official may be happening in terms of trades, you can bet your last dollar that conversations are happening, relationships are being forged or rekindled, and the seeds for future moves are being planted right now. Now let's bring it back to the Lakers' current situation. We've seen their offseason start with some solid moves, but it's clear this roster still needs some work. There are holes to fill and questions that still don't have answers. And according to multiple reports, there's real optimism from the Lakers camp that this Vegas trip could help push some of those unanswered questions closer to resolution. With Rob Pelinka meeting face-to-face with other executives, there's a belief that some of these stalled conversations could pick up steam. Because again, it's different when you're in person. There's a different energy, and Rob knows how to work a room. It's also important to remember that this is how trust gets built. Rob Pelinka isn't just working on trades, he's building relationships. That might sound soft or unnecessary in a high-stakes league like the NBA, but it's actually one of the most crucial parts of the job. The best GMs aren't just number crunchers, they're deal makers. And deal makers rely on relationships. Think about it. How often do teams trade with the same partners again and again? That's not a coincidence. That's built on years of rapport, mutual respect, and knowing what the other side wants. The Lakers have done deals with teams like Washington over and over again for a reason. There's trust there. Even someone like Danny Ainge, who people always claim would never help the Lakers, has made multiple deals with them in recent years. Why? Because a good deal is a good deal. And if the relationship is there, even rivals can find common ground. That's how the NBA works behind the scenes. It's a game of leverage, sure, but it's also a game of who you know and how well you know them. Look at the Doncic trade again. If Pelinka didn't have that connection with Nico Harrison, maybe that deal doesn't go down the way it did. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. But because there was trust, because there was familiarity, because they had already shared moments together in more relaxed settings, Rob was able to move quickly and close a deal that otherwise might have been dead in the water. These aren't just names on a trade machine. They're real people with egos, feelings, and instincts. That's why the setting matters. A dinner in Vegas can lead to a blockbuster if the vibes are right. And speaking of vibes, you can't underestimate how powerful a chill, low-stakes conversation can be when you're trying to unlock a complicated trade. When everyone's guards are down, when no one feels pressured, you're more likely to hear the truth. You're more likely to hear the, well, we're actually open to moving him, but only if we get X in return kind of comments. Stuff you might not get in a formal negotiation. And that's where Rob Pelinka thrives. He understands that sometimes the best deals are the ones that don't feel like deals at all. And they feel like conversations, like opportunities, like shared goals. Take Andrew Wiggins, for example. There's been buzz around his name, but no movement yet. You better believe that Vegas is the perfect place for the Lakers to feel out what the Warriors are really thinking. Are they serious about moving him? What would it take? Could there be a third team involved? These are the questions that don't get answered on Twitter. They get answered at a Bellagio over steak and scotch. It's not about just calling up Bob Myers and saying, hey, what's your price? It's about reading between the lines when he says Wiggins is important to us and watching his face as he says it. Does he mean it, or is he fishing for the right offer? And again, just because these talks happen in Vegas doesn't mean deals get finalized right then and there. That's not usually how it works. But what does happen is that these conversations become real, that they turn into follow-up calls. They evolve into frameworks. And then when the timing is right, the trigger gets pulled. So even if nothing major happens, during Summer League, don't be surprised if just a few days after it ends, the Lakers make a move. It won't be out of nowhere. It'll be the result of all the background work Rob and his team are doing right now. It's all about setting the stage. And make no mistake, the Lakers are on that stage right now. They're in every room they need to be in. They're talking to every team that has something they might want. And while the headlines might still say Lakers quiet behind the scenes, there's noise. Strategic noise, calculated noise, and that kind of noise usually turns into action. What also makes Vegas special is that it becomes a testing ground for ideas. Maybe Team A isn't sure if they want to move their guy, but they're willing to entertain offers. Team B, in this case, the Lakers throw out a hypothetical. Team A goes back and thinks about it, runs it by their staff. Then over the next few days, that idea grows legs. That's how these things work. And this isn't just speculation. It's how NBA executives operate. They're always looking for leverage, always reading each other, and always trying to be one step ahead. So while it might seem quiet right now, that's only if you're looking at the surface. If you're only checking Twitter or watching SportsCenter, you're missing the deeper layers. Because underneath all the silence, the Lakers are moving. Maybe not physically, but strategically. Every conversation, every glance at a Summer League game, every run in between executives, it's all part of the dance. And Rob Pelinka knows how to dance. He's done it before and he's doing it again. What's fascinating is how many moving parts are involved in just one potential deal. Take someone like DeMar DeRozan. We've heard his name pop up in rumors for what feels like 5 straight years, and yet it never quite happens. But this time the context is different. The Bulls are stuck in limbo. They're not good enough to contend, but they're not bad enough to rebuild properly. They're dangling on the edge of relevance. And that's the kind of moment when a smart GM like Pelinka strikes. Not when a team is desperate, but when they're just unsure enough to be talked into something bold. And who better to have those talks than Pelinka in Vegas? You get carniçovas from the Bulls in a relaxed setting, maybe with a drink in hand, and suddenly the conversation shifts from, we're not looking to move DeRozan to, well, if we got a young wing and a pick, maybe we consider it. That's all it takes. One sentence, one crack in the door. Then it's Rob's job to pry it open, and he will. But this goes even deeper than DeRozan. There's an entire market of players that might be available under the right conditions. Jerami Grant, Bruce Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, even players like Miles Turner, who's always been almost a Laker. What makes Summer League special is that all the decision makers are physically in the same city, many in the same hotel. It's not like during the regular season when you're juggling road trips and press obligations and practices. In Vegas, there's time, there's opportunity, there's proximity. That's when trust builds, and that's when the seed of a blockbuster trade is most likely to take root. Another thing to consider is that the Lakers have something they didn't always have before: assets. Not just picks, but players on team-friendly contracts, young pieces, and the kind of flexibility that makes other GMs actually take your calls seriously. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Max Christie, these are guys with real value around the league. You package one of them with a future first and maybe an expiring contract, and suddenly you've got a conversation worth having. And if that first crack in the door happens in Vegas, it might be the start of a domino effect that reshapes the roster entirely. Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean the Lakers are going to pull off a massive trade just because it's Summer League. It doesn't work like that. What it means is that this is the window when things begin to crystallize. Because this front office is smart enough to know that their current roster isn't enough. They've got two generational stars in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but the clock is ticking, especially with LeBron. Every season is precious. You don't get to waste years when you have a talent like him. So standing pat isn't an option. Not really. And when you talk about urgency, you have to consider the competition. The Western Conference isn't waiting for anyone. Denver's still elite. Phoenix just reloaded. The Timberwolves are coming into their own. Dallas has Luka and Kyrie firing on all cylinders. Even Golden State isn't going away quietly. That's the environment the Lakers are operating in. It's not enough to be good. You have to be better than teams that are already great. That's why Pelinka's out there playing chess while others are still figuring out how to move their pawns. He knows that just one move can change the whole trajectory of a season. You bring in a 3-and-D wing who fits seamlessly into the rotation. That could be the difference between a second-round exit and a finals run. You swap a redundant guard for a versatile big who can switch on defense that might unlock a new level of your team's identity. And it all starts here, in the lounges and suites of Las Vegas, where ideas become possibilities and possibilities turn into real decisions. Let's also not forget about the agents. They're all here too. And they matter a lot because sometimes a trade doesn't happen because a GM wants it, but because an agent orchestrates it behind the scenes. Agents have relationships with multiple front offices. They know who's unhappy, who wants out, who's quietly requested a trade, but hasn't gone public yet. And if an agent wants to steer a player to LA, this is where that pitch gets made. Not at the negotiating table, but in a casual conversation over coffee or poolside at some resort. That's how the gears turn. And the Lakers, because of their brand, always have a seat at that table. It doesn't mean they'll get every player they want, but it does mean they're always in the mix, always lurking, and sometimes that's all it takes. Because when a star becomes available and his agent says, hey, he'd love to play in LA, suddenly that changes the entire market. It shifts leverage, it narrows the path forward, and that's how Pelinka swoops in. You could argue that this is the most important summer league in recent Lakers memory. Not because of the games being played, but because of what's being said behind closed doors. This isn't just about scouting or watching Bronny James develop. This is about reshaping a roster to win right now. This is about making the most of the window they still have with LeBron. Because whether he has 1 year left or 2, there's no time for hesitation. It's go time. Even something as simple as an informal chat between Pelinka and Masai Ujiri could end up leading somewhere. The Raptors are a team in flux. They're not rebuilding, but they're not really contending either. That's the kind of team you watch closely, because when they decide to pivot, it can happen quickly. And if you've already laid the groundwork, like Rob is probably doing now, then when the call comes, you're ready. That's the whole point of Vegas, not to finalize, but to prepare. And preparation is where the Lakers have improved the most. This isn't the front office from a few years ago scrambling at the last minute or chasing names just for the headlines. This is a calculated, patient, methodical team that understands timing and opportunity. You wait for the right deal, not the loudest one. You wait for value, not just splash. That's why we haven't seen them make a panic move yet. They're holding, waiting, watching, but don't confuse patience with passivity. There's a difference. Being patient means you're surveying the entire board, waiting for the exact right moment to strike. And when that moment comes, you go all in. The Lakers have done it before. They did it to land Anthony Davis. They did it to get out of the Westbrook situation. They've always found ways to turn their hand into a winning one, even when the odds look stacked against them. And now here we are again, a roster that's close but not quite there, a fan base hungry for another deep playoff run. a front office with the tools, the knowledge, and the relationships to make it happen, and an arena full of decision makers in Las Vegas, all circling each other like sharks in the water. The only question is who bites first if history is any guide. It won't be long before the Lakers make their move, and when they do, don't be surprised if it feels like it came out of nowhere, because to the public it will. But to the people paying attention, to the ones watching the signs, tracking the meetings, reading the body language, it won't be surprising at all. It'll be the natural conclusion to a dance that's already underway. So keep watching the games, keep enjoying the highlights, but understand that the real game, the game that matters, is being played behind the scenes. In luxury suites, in hotel lounges, at private dinners. That's where championships are born. And right now, the Lakers are in the thick of it, doing what they've always done best, making things happen when no one sees it coming. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, in a move that's already causing a buzz across the NBA landscape, rumors have started swirling that veteran big man Al Horford has accepted a $5 million offer to join a team in Los Angeles. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the matter suggest that the seasoned center could soon be making a splash on the West Coast, adding a surprising veteran presence to a franchise eager for stability and leadership. Allie. Horford, known for his polished skill set, high basketball IQ, and steady defensive presence, has been a respected figure in the league for over a decade. His ability to stretch the floor with shooting, combined with solid rim protection and smart playmaking, makes him an ideal fit for teams looking to blend experience with young talent. At this stage in his career, a $5 million deal is a modest but strategic contract, indicating that Horford might be prioritizing a chance to compete and contribute meaningfully over a blockbuster payday. Los Angeles, home to two of the NBA's most prominent franchises, is a hotspot for big moves and headline-grabbing trades. If the rumors hold any weight, Horford's arrival could signal a significant shift in one team's approach to this season. Whether it's the Lakers seeking a reliable veteran to bolster their frontcourt depth, or the Clippers aiming to add more experience around their stars, Horford's presence would bring both stability and a winning mentality. This potential signing could also influence the dynamics within the locker room and on the court. Horford's leadership and calm demeanor have been praised throughout his career, often helping younger players develop and maintain focus during critical stretches. For a team in Los Angeles hungry for playoff success, these intangible qualities might prove just as valuable as his on-court production. Of course, with no official confirmation, yet speculation remains high. Fans and analysts alike are eager to see how this possible move could impact the title race and what it might mean for the broader NBA landscape. Will Horford's veteran savvy be the missing piece a Los Angeles team needs to make a deep postseason run? Only time will tell, but the whispers of his arrival have certainly set tongues wagging and added fuel to the off-season fire. As the situation develops, all eyes will be on Los Angeles, waiting to see if this rumor materializes into one of the most intriguing signings of the year. For now, the basketball world watches closely, wondering if Al Horford's next chapter will indeed unfold. Under the bright lights of Los Angeles, stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news, subscribe to our channel, and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.